Hi Matt, welcome to our little TGA chat room. Thanks for joining us.
Love me, guys.
Look at you in the sun, eh? Tanning yourself all
I'm
day.
doing something wrong. Should be outside.
Is this the life of an online trainer?
Yeah.
But how we start these chats off is just like for you just to tell our viewers and whoever else is watching like who you are, where you're at, what you're doing at the moment. So go for it.
Cool. So yeah, I'm a personal trainer. I've been doing sort of personal training over the past sort of 2.5, 3 years. Previous to that, I was in the army for a number of years, best part of a decade, a little bit more. So yeah, lots of experience in fitness, not so much health until recent sort of times. And sort of now really I've transitioned fully over to being an online trainer. I think COVID's kind of pushed me in that direction, but for the better, I think.
So was you PTing already, like one-to-ones, yeah?
Yeah, so one-to-one, I spent about a year and a half in a gym that's local to me, recently actually. But
Okay.
since it all happened, like completely converted over.
So, like the title we were talking about was the difference between a normal PT, like a face-to-face PT, and an online sort of trainer. I mean, yeah, what is the difference in your eyes? Me and Joel obviously we're new to the online stuff, doing 20 years of PTing, face to face, and obviously through the COVID situation, we've obviously converted into more online stuff. So what do you reckon the difference between the two is?
So, to be honest, I think it depends on the person, really, the trainer, and where they kind of want to go with it. For me, I really enjoy the coaching aspect of it. And being that one-to-one PT, I always felt like I wasn't giving enough. And that's not because of me. That was just because of the restraints you have in the gym environment. You may be doing one-to-one or you may be doing group sessions, but you're limited to those people at that moment in time. And you may have tens of other clients that you've trained that day or got booked in for the rest of the week. But when you're in the moment, you can only deal with the people in front of you, which means you're only dealing with the training aspect, and trying to talk to people about nutrition and other lifestyle factors in their rest period. It just doesn't happen. They're not listening. And even though they're like, yeah, I get what you're saying, like they don't take it fully on. So I found myself just counting reps, watching form, which is all good and well, and it helps people. But what I kind of realized was there's so much more to this. And like I can deliver such a better service. And even sort of towards my end of the time in the gym, the hour session I'll book with people, I'd spend a lot of that time in the office, and they'd be like, should we get outside? Should we go and train? I'd be like, no, because that's not the issue. The issue isn't your form, it isn't the exercise. An hour, like we can get an effective workout in a couple of minutes. Let's talk nutrition, let's talk lifestyle, let's look at the bigger picture, let's look at what actually counts. Because when you leave here, there's two things that are going to happen. You're going to take on board everything I say, or you're going to be licking your wounds off the back of this hour-long session that you're going to get beasted in. So I felt like my time was definitely put better into the coaching aspect. And I was already gearing it up a few months ago, even before COVID was happening. I was starting to transition people there. Even people I was taking on in the gym, I was like, look, this isn't what we're kind of doing. I'm going to put you onto my online system. So I was actually recruiting people from the gym that I worked at and converting them on. So I was setting up that base. And then as soon as COVID happened, I was like, well, this is it. Like, this is the time to break clean and do this. And kind of where I'm at now is I have like a number of clients, but I'm with them 7 days a week. So rather than them having 1, 2, 3 sessions a week where we're looking at exercise and we're looking at form and they're not really interested in anything else and wondering why they're not getting the results they want, we're actually sitting down in a group environment. I'm doing one-to-one coaching with them. I don't feel like I'm wasting any of my time. They're not having any of their time wasted. We're only focusing on the things that are important. And take, for instance, a number of guys this week that I've been back to work this week. I've had such a shit week. Like, I haven't done this, I haven't done that. But it's still trying to break that mentality. If they skip a training session, they think they've ruined it all, but it's not the case. So they get a hell of a lot more of me, which they didn't in the gym because they just purely didn't have the time. When you're standing there like for 10 hours a day, like you're only focused on one person at a time. And when you get home, so yeah, there's a lot more to online training, but I think it completely depends on the trainer and how he wants to do it. And I work with a number of other online trainers. Some of them are still doing kind of the one-to-one on the screens and that as if they were in the gym, and that's cool. That's what they enjoy. Some people are going back into the park environments and doing coaching on the outside of that. Other people do entirely what I'm doing, fully online coaching. The way I kind of do that is I have a big platform where I do the programming, I set the nutrition, we set goals, we work on mindset. So it's all very interactive through the online sort of virtual world.
Yeah, no, you're definitely right. Like after you spend an hour with a client, you could definitely spend another half an hour, 45 minutes with them talking about nutrition, about how hydrated they are, what's their quality of sleep like. You're going through all the same protocol, and you're right. You definitely can't do that within a training session. So how do you convince? How would I convince my customers to then go from or would you? How do I convince them to go from seeing me one-to-one to then an online service? Or do you think that it's a completely different type of client?
I think it's a bit of everything, and it solely depends on the individual. And from what I see, and no disrespect to anyone that kind of does train in the gym, like in terms of a client, but they are not fully committed from what I see, like in some way, because they will go, I want a personal trainer, but I only want to do an hour a week with you. And then they won't be willing to pay an additional amount for a program on top of that if you want to do that for them. And then they expect you to do nutrition, this, that, the other. So they want minimal, well, they want maximal effect for minimal amount of stuff, and they don't realize that we're pulled in all different directions. So it's their level of investment, I think. But the hardest thing I found, even with clients that I trained in the gym, trying to get them to experience the online sort of world is hard. And it doesn't come down to trust between you and the trainer. I think it's a little bit of the unknown. And I think this is great, this call, so people can physically understand that you're getting so much more from your trainer when you do it in a virtual sense, because they can train you in a group environment. They've got more time because they're not having to travel from A to B. Like, you can not just look at the training, you can look at the nutritional side, you can look at the lifestyle, you can look at the sleep in greater depth. And not only that, they can learn from other people in that community. One of my Facebook groups is reasonably new, only a couple of months old. People are like, I know, like Joel's group as well, people are giving advice to one another, and people are like helping each other and encouraging people. You don't get that in the gym because people swap and change. They might say hello and they might know each other from local. But it's 10 times better. And
I mean, it's definitely this time, this sort of like COVID time. You're definitely right. A lot of my customers that have gone onto the online service, they would have never done it unless we were in this situation that we're in. I don't know how you feel, Joel, but that, a lot of my customers weren't bothered.
A lot of people didn't think it was going to work. You know what I mean? They're like, I'll give it a go, but it's actually working quite well. What's interesting, Matt, is you say they get a lot more of your time. So are you interactive, say, like every day? You like the biggest thing with people with nutrition, you explain to them that 80% of it happens in the kitchen. It's just like, it's what you put into your body. And they think 1 hour a week, or they try to out train a bad diet, is what everyone says. So if you're there as a virtual sense going, what have you eaten today? Let's go through your diet. Is that what you're doing at the moment in terms of more time, or?
So just to give you a bit of a structure of my sort of day, my morning routine is my morning routine. I'm a big fan of, like, if I set the conditions for myself and I put my head and body in the right place to start the day, then that will set me up nicely for the rest of the day. And I encourage this to all my clients. All right. So it's like when we get up in the morning, it's like tumbleweed. Everyone's doing their morning routine. Everyone's setting themselves up for the day. Everyone's easing into the day. And then it will come to about sort of 10 a.m. Social media will start picking up. We'll start interacting. I'll speak to people through my online platform, one-to-one messages, seeing how they're doing. A couple of times a week, we will do group coaching in the morning. So there'll be multiple people jump on a Zoom call similar to this.
Training. Is that a training session?
Yeah, no, just literally coaching. So we won't be doing anything like that. It will just purely be speaking about sort of lifestyle factors, what's working well. We always start on a high. We always start with wins. What's going well? What are you grateful for today? Like, so other people can physically hear that, because then that sort of positivity bounces from one to another. So there'll be numerous coaching calls a week in a group setting, and then additionally for the people that want the one-to-one coaching, then they have one-to-one with me on a call similar to this. In terms of the training, all of that is on my online training system. So they log in via desktop or via their phone, the Primal Fitness app, and then they've got their workouts on there. So basically I set the workouts. It's a video exercise demonstration of me doing the workouts. I set the duration, rep range, amount of sets, whatever they kind of need, completely customized towards the individual. And all they do is, right, log in, here's my calendar, here's my goals for today, which we would have set together, click on the workout, start the workout, do the workout. They can either follow the video or follow the exercise, and then they will track it. And anytime they do that, like as I'm stood here, people are like working out and doing things and getting notifications on my phone. So it's very interactive. And then what I can do is go back and review that, leave notes on there, see how they've done, talk to them. The app's really good as well because it will accumulate things. So it's really, really good. And not only for me, but for them, they get so much more because they're seeing their physical progress. They've got their calendar where they see their goals. They've got like graphs and pie charts and all sorts that they see their strength increasing, and they can see the body fat changing and the increasing sort of rep ranges and weight lifted and all sorts. So it's really.
How are you assessing the clients in relation to body fat, lean mass? You know, are you doing a weight? Do they weigh themselves? Do they do circumference measurements? How do they do that remotely?
Yeah, so on the system, it's got like a picture of a person where you can put measurements on. So you tap in, get them to log in, get them a tape measure. They take all the measurements, tell them how to do it, and then they weigh themselves. And then I'll do a calculation of body fat percentage. So there's going to be a variation, but ultimately, like wherever that is, as long as they do everything the same before, which I ask of them, then there's the comparison. You see that. And as we well know, with body fat percentage, there's like 100 ways to do it, and there's probably one or two that are actually effective. So as long as we've got that estimate and that figure, and we keep that the same, and then we'll repeat that process.
It's consistency, isn't it? It doesn't matter what scales they're on, who does the measurements. Potentially, they might be a couple of millimeters out here or there, but if they're in the same spot, they're doing the same thing at the same time. It's a consistent set of data, isn't it? That's I think a good message for people to understand that. You know, if they so like we do the they wake up, have a wee, weigh themselves the same time every morning. Everyone's different. They might wake up at 6 o'clock, they might wake up at 10 o'clock, they might wake up at 5 o'clock, but it's the same thing for each person. So I think that's good. I think it's that, you know, it keeps them consistent.
It does, yeah, it does. And yeah, again, everyone's different with that as well. Some people don't like to do that weekly, other people like to do it every week. Trying to get people to sway away from weighing himself daily and stuff like that. But I think regardless of where the stats are, as long as they've got loads of different figures as a measure as such, so they can measure their progress. So i.e. photos, I think, are the best because you know how weight can fluctuate. That's great, and people look at weight, oh, I've done this and it fluctuates, blah blah blah. But having variety, so having the measurements, having the body fat, having the weight, having the photos, going off of feel, doing sort of like a chart. So how are you feeling on any given day? Almost like an RPE, but just saying on a scale of 1 to 10, how am I feeling today? And I know I certainly do that with some of the apps that I do, and we've got that on our app. You're just rating how you feel, because it's all good and well having all these stats and like the scales tipping, but you may not feel good psychologically. So doing sort of like a chart and saying, right, actually, I feel really good today, but my head's not in the right place. And that can affect training as well. And I see it with myself. Some days you can be like, oh, I've got an app that does like HRV and all sorts, and it tells me I'm absolutely primed for the day, go and have a killer workout. And in the back of my head, I'm like, I ain't ready for this. And people are exactly the same. And I tell them, like, the training is the least most important aspect of this.
Hang on. You're never ready for a workout. How many Spartan races you done? Come on. I hear that. You need one more to complete the set. Is that right? What would you say about, like, you know, taking it only from my own personal view, social media following? You know, is that a big influence to gain more customers online? Is it really important to have a good website? Is there, you know, that sort of stuff? Would you say that that's an important part of you or someone transitioning into an online trainer?
No, I would say it all depends about quality and how you put yourself across, really. I mean, the following doesn't really matter. Like, it's about the quality of those people and whether they have trust in you as a person, as a trainer, and then you delivering a quality service. And then the growth comes off of, like, obviously word of mouth and having that trust, and building a network through that way. But even though my followings are whatever, a lot of that's in like South America. So like they all speak a completely different language. So it's all good and well, but it's about that quality. It really is, rather than the amount.
So
If you have
how do you pick up your customers?
now, so you can boost your following through promoting posts. I mean, you can do like celebrity endorsements, whatever. But I think you've got to be very, very careful with that. The thing that I found the most effective is choosing 1 or 2 posts and just promoting that. Just putting like, I don't know, $10 on that post. Do that for 7 days a week, and then that just boosts your likes and following, providing it's a good post. And I put some outrageous stuff. I just put a picture that captures people. Like a lot of a lot of people like the topless one.
You like to incite an argument, Matt.
I do, yeah. Like spitting in the face of conventional wisdom. Yeah, that's what it's all about, because I think that raises eyebrows, and a lot of people say to me, like, you just say it how it is. And something that winds me up is there's just a lot of bullshit out there, like, and there's a lot of stuff that's completely misleading. I think we just need to be more genuine and upfront, like, and this is something I've learned, like, telling people straight, even clients, like, if they're doing something wrong, tell them, because they don't expect it. It's like the parent, like, I expect a bollocking from that, but then like they don't as such expect it from someone else. Like, but I think a lot of people have respect, and I'm not saying I bollock my clients because I don't at all. But on social media, I come across as very forward. But I think that's purely because I want people to wake up. I want people to come to the realization that, like, what we are led to believe about the current sort of systems in the gym and conventional wisdom and the conventional approach, for me,
I think the biggest thing we can take away from online training is, like, actually a PT can practice what they preach. You know, we're all about sleep, and you know the average PT gets up at 5:30, they start at 6:30, and we don't finish till 9:30. That is not healthy at all. You know, we eat on the go. And suddenly, if you're saying you're easing the day in, you start about 10 o'clock after having your nice walk, ground yourself in the grass, having your bulletproof coffee, a nice little dip in the water. I mean, that's what life should be like completely. And if this online training is enable you to do that, and also your clients, you know, you're telling your clients to get in the gym at 6:30 when they could probably do an extra hour in bed, they'll do them more well than beasting themselves in the gym. And it's trying to put that point across. It's like, you know, it's looking after yourself. If you're getting 5 hours sleep and you're trying to work yourself and beast yourself in a gym, it's not doing you any good.
Yeah. But this time's going to change, though, isn't it? When people do actually go back to work, like, this is a funny situation. You know, you've got clients that they're at home and they can train during the day, or, you know, there are going to be a number of my clients that have to get up at 5 o'clock to go back into the city. You know, so
it's almost like self-flagellation with some people. They know that they had a bad diet, they just go in the gym and they want to beast themselves and feel bad about their. But it is, you're right, it's all about the education, and it's not all about, you know, the workout you do once a week. It's not going to do anything really. Where if you can get your client every day and say, look, change your diet, and then just change their mindset, it's brilliant.
That's what it's all about. It's about the bigger picture. And yeah, like, at some point everyone is going to go back to work, and people are going to be pushed to the extremes of the day, whether they need to train really early in the morning, then they need to get changed and go to work, and then they've got a stressful day. And then you've got the other people that get up early, travel to work, have a stressful day, and then think it's appropriate and actually beneficial for their health to go do an hour soul crushing workout when they've already had a stressful day, and then they've left no time for nutrition, minimal time for sleep, and then they've hit the reset button. And granted, there are people that are going to be like that, and I train people like that. They're extremely busy, so it's about fitting that into their day-to-day routine.
Totally. I mean, some people are really good in the morning, some people are really good at night, you know. But what we've learned through this time off is getting up when the sun comes up, going down when it's up, you can actually get into that and you feel so much better.
I think what you were saying about just you know, practicing what you're preaching, it's definitely something that I've learned over these last 10 to 12 weeks of being in lockdown. Exactly what you're saying, Joel. Like, getting up at a certain time, a time that I feel I definitely like the mornings. I like getting up early. You know, I don't like working too late. You know, so me finishing at 7 o'clock at night instead of 10 o'clock at night, wow, I feel like I've got a life back. Do you know what I mean? So it's definitely something for me personally. You know, being able to spend time with my wife and my kid, and it's definitely a very important process that I've gone through. And I think the change in, I've missed training people on a one to one. Like, I just something that I've done for 20 years. I don't want to say it's my default in relation to business, but I do enjoy that level of banter and that level of connection. But I also really like this whole social online system as well. So I think that for me going forward, it's definitely something that I can build and make sure that I can integrate this into a better income, really. And that's fundamentally why we're doing it. I know we enjoy the job, but fundamentally, you want a better income without doing as much work in a sense. And I think you're right. Having more time, the clients that I have seen on a portal side, I definitely felt like I've been able to give more to them. Even though when I was in the gym, I did feel like I was giving more, but this is definitely you giving more process. So that, yeah, mate, I completely understand what you're saying. I mean, what about you, Jolly? Do you feel like you just look proper chilled, bud?
I'm quite happy now.
Yeah.
I'm not stressed. It's awesome.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I'm totally. You suddenly realise that getting up in these hours, especially as my age, I'm a bit older than you two now. You just can't sustain it. And people need to learn that rest, recovery. You don't have to beast yourself too much in the gym. If you live a stressful life, why add another stress to yourself in the gym? You got to work hard. Don't get me wrong. You got to work hard, but it's the education side. And nutrition is the biggest thing.
What about Matt? What about the difference between these people that are going online? Obviously, at the moment, they're probably researching home workouts and online trainers and stuff like that. How can they sift between the bullshit ones and the genuine ones? I mean, is it the type of post that you're giving out? Is it I don't know how basically for myself, how would I put myself across to not be? Do you have to be proper salesy? Do you have to be like what's the sort of
I think it's all about having balance, and what I've found is just be genuine, just be myself completely. That's the best thing. And sometimes I'm like having a bit of banter with people. Like today on the social media, I had a complete rant, just that generally people just like wake up like you're making excuses. Like what was it today? Like people when they're in the gym environment, they're always asking for more time. I wish I had more time to put in the training. And now it's like completely turned on its head. They've got all this time, but they're still not training.
yeah.
They've got no money to put into it to invest into that. So it's like you've had money, but then you didn't have time, and now you've got loads of time, but you've got little money. But how are you investing that? How are you turning that on its head? And that's what it's about. It's about investing into yourself. And in terms of sifting through sort of trainer to trainer, I think it's approach that trainer, have a conversation with them, like the amount of messages I have on a day-to-day basis, like I can't even reply to half of them at the moment. It's a joke, but like building rapport with those people is really, really important because the majority of my business is on Instagram, a little bit on Facebook, and a lot of people don't think you're real. So that's why like I do loads on my Instagram story, show my face and that. So actually like this is actually a real person.
You
And
love showing your abs, don't you, Matt? You love showing your abs, eh? If
so,
you got to show them out, and you.
exactly that, yeah, and it appeals to a certain type of market, in particular the guys. Like this is what we think. It appeals to all the ladies, but it doesn't. It's the guys that respect.
You're a big gay icon, Matt.
It's amazing. But yeah, I think like for anyone that's on the fence about sort of converting over to that, like have a decent conversation with your trainer if you've got a trainer. If you haven't and you want to go out there and achieve fitness goals, like do a bit of research, follow that person. I know people that have been following me for months and months and months and months, and now they're only just saying, Matt, I've been following you for a little while. And I called them out on my Facebook the other day because on your Facebook you can see who's seen the post. I was like, I know you're watching, I know you're watching. And then people were like, yeah, I am. It's funny, like, but people, I think the more the crowd sort of shifts and the more people get involved, that causes a bit more of a movement and that creates more trust in that. Someone is on the fence, just approach that trainer or something like that, watch them, have a conversation with them, and then from our point of view, build a bit more trust with them. It doesn't have to go down the point of sale straight away. Like sometimes some people will want that, they want a definitive answer. People are straight in there with price, and we're like, well, what is this worth to you? Like I've spoken to a couple of people today and they're like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can commit to this. Time, money, like whatever. It's like, well, what have you currently got in your life now that is holding you back from achieving your goals? Where do you see yourself in 2 years, 5 years, 10 years if you don't commit to change now? And that's ultimately what it's about, because we procrastinate, we put things off. As human beings, we want to take the nice, comfy, easy option. It's a survival mechanism, but without pushing outside of your comfort zone and taking risks, you're never gonna grow. And for myself, like taking risks, like in competition, taking risks with business, throwing more money into my business than I'm earning and stuff like that, and just taking bold risks and bold moves. And without that, you're just going to stay the same. And it's exactly the same with your training. If you're not willing to push yourself out your comfort zone, then how do you expect to grow? You're just going to turn off, do your reps, do your sets, and bugger off. But if you set some goals, and find a trainer that can help you with that, you're going to get closer. And even for myself, I kind of admitted yesterday to people on my social media, and my team was like, so with my sort of racing, I've done all right last year in UK Spartan, and I've done all the coaching on my own, and I've done all the traveling. I've done absolutely everything, like the feeding, the travel, like going to Ireland, going up to Scotland, like done the full works myself. And it was an absolute ball ache. It was hard work. And then I was doing 2 or 3 races a weekend and podium at them. So I was absolutely ball bags. So this year I've kind of been like, right, let's take a step back and hire someone to take away that hassle. So for a coach to get a coach, that's absolutely mind-blowing. Like, and people should acknowledge that if coaches are getting coaches not only for their business but getting it for their own physical performance, like that says something, that everyone needs a mentor, everyone needs a coach, so that you can get from A to B as quick as possible. And for me, seeking out advice from a doctor, from a sports scientist, to go, right, this is what you need to do from that outside perspective to implement changes along with his experience, my experience, and my knowledge. Like if I was up here on my own and I've got someone else now, all that's going to happen is we're going to elevate. And this is exactly the same for the average person. Like,
you're never going to get a high level athlete without a coach. That's a lot of people think they can do it on their own, but you can't.
Exactly. We all need support.
Massively.
Are you using any software at the moment? What sort of software are you using for your online system? Are you, if you don't mind me asking, I don't know if it's.
So there's a couple of apps I've used. There's a number of them out there, like True Coach. What's another one? Some other app. I use Trainerize, and using Trainerize is really, really good because it's all branded up yourself. You can log on to Google or other app stores or whatever they are, the Android one. And they can
Another one.
yeah, whatever that one is.
Yeah.
Apple, isn't it? Apple everything. Yeah, so log in there. It's all my brand, all my stuff. So as soon as people log in, it's a picture of me jumping over some fire, looking good. And then they log in.
I could have guessed that, Matt. I could have guessed that.
Did you have it top up?
They wouldn't allow me. They wouldn't allow me to have the logo. I was like, "You having a laugh?" Like,
was you flexing your guns at the same time, Matt?
Yes.
Obviously.
Brilliant. I mean, what at the moment I've been asking everyone who comes on these chats. I mean, who are you currently following? Is there any books that you're currently reading? Anything that you kind of?
You know what I'm really into at the moment is like motivation. Now, you wouldn't kind of expect this like from any fitness professional, but like I said about coaching, like everyone needs motivation. One of the ways I'm starting my day is by working on my mindset. First of all, starting on movement, getting out in nature, and then doing sort of gratitude, meditation, visualization, and then doing affirmations. And then I go into like my morning movement routine. And over the past week or so, I've been listening to loads of Tony Robbins stuff. Absolutely powerful, like listening to his story. So he's at the moment is a huge influence on my mindset and the way I'm kind of thinking. On top of that, sort of fit pros that I'm following, I love Ben Greenfield. I don't know if you've heard of him. American guy. He was voted top US personal trainer a number of years ago. He owns a company called Keon, so I follow him. I follow numerous doctors from around the world. Paul Saladino, he's like a carnivore medical doctor. So I've tried a bit of the carnivore approach over the past sort of 6 weeks, purely living off of organs, bones, steak, eggs. Yeah, pretty much just all animal produce. I don't think I've had a vegetable in about sort of 6 or 7 weeks. It's like, oh, you're not having your 5 a day. No, I'm having about 100 a day instead. Like, So yeah, I'm heavily influenced by other people, because I think the more you surround yourself with successful people or people that have got similar interests to you, you're only going to rise to that. And I'm forever picking knowledge from here, there, everywhere. But knowledge is great, knowledge is powerful. But I think the best thing to do is experience things. And that's kind of why I've done carnivore. Like I've done vegetarian, I've done veganism, I've done like keto pretty strict, I've done like paleo, I've done more sort of primal stuff now, I've done the carnivore, like whatever. It's good about experiencing things, because I find that's the way to learn. Because you can't sort of go from a standpoint of giving advice on something if
I totally agree, mate. You can't. You got to try it out yourself.
don't knock it till you tried it.
Exactly.
No, is there anything else that you want to ask Matt, or are you good?
Oh, Matt, no, me and Matt have talked about loads of stuff. It's like we could talk ages about all this like biohacks and these glasses that he wears, and it's all good stuff.
Cool. Well, it means we have to get you back on.
You wouldn't believe he's 55 years old, would you? That'd
be great.
Where can everyone sort of find you online, social media? Just give a little shout out to your brand and stuff.
Cool. So my brand is Primal Fitness. I am predominantly just on Instagram. I'm on Facebook, so you can find me at PF Matt Roberts, and that's where I'm at. I mean, follow my stories, follow my posts. You've got loads of free education there. You can see me ranting about all sorts of stuff. You can give me you hear me about giving the lowdown on the real thing, the way the fitness industry is. A lot of the time, I'm kind of debunking things, and there's me sort of biohacking and just basically taking myself, my clients back to the roots, back to our ancestral roots, and living the primal way is where we're at. So yeah, optimizing health and changing life through sort of primal living.
Matt, I really appreciate your time, buddy. Thank you very much for coming on our little chat room. I do appreciate it, and we'll definitely do this again.
Come on, guys. Cheers.
See you, buddy.
Bye now.